Hello, everybody. We're here with Lesley Munro, who was whose painting has actually been given the RWS award. We had a conversation about Lesley's painting with John Crosley earlier in the exhibition, but now Lesley is with us today, and I wanted to talk to her about her painting, which I'm going to get onto the screen in a moment. So here is Lesley's lovely painting. It's a really interesting landscape. Lesley, I absolutely love all the textures in this painting, and your palette is actually so fresh and alive. And I wanted to ask you a little bit about the painting itself. What inspired you to paint it? It's a very particular place, isn't it? Can you tell us a bit about where it is?
Yes, this is a beautiful place that I was recommended to go to and had never been. So it's called Budleigh Salterton and it's in Devon. And we were visiting friends in 2016, which seems quite a long time ago. And what actually happened was during lockdown, I was getting a little bit frustrated with my surroundings. And although I live in a very beautiful place, I think, same old. I decided to look back at some old sketchbooks, and I had found this sketch of Budleigh Salterton. And I'd actually been doing quite a lot of work with pine trees that had sort of been affected by weather. I thought, oh, that could carry on with the theme. It's an amazing place, this. I mean, if you can imagine this estuary and this coastline, it sparkles and it's vibrant. And I felt my eye was so led into that. And this sketch reminded me of being there. And I thought, right, I'm going to go that way. I've got this great big piece of paper and I'm going to go for it. There's something about being in lockdown, and as an artist, you think, here's an opportunity to explore, be a little bit different. There's not that pressure on you to conform when you have a gallery or an exhibition coming up to keep everything the same. So I'm experimenting here. And as you can see, sort of in the middle ground, I had some texture, and this has captured to me the sparkle. And
I can see that, yeah.
And your eye has been led by the line, and so it's like an adventure. Imagine that you're going on this beautiful journey, and you've got all these lovely things to come across. So it's all vibrant, it's all beautiful, and it's like all kind of painting, you have to know when to stop, and it's hard. And I wanted to keep this fresh and alive. Now, Philippa, if you're listening, because Philippa has bought this painting, and I know she loves it, but oh my goodness, I have to let her know. Like, I don't know if any other artist feels this, but it's obviously my own doubt. When you buy something online, are you, the person who's bought it, going to see it the same way that I see it? And so I hope you are, because it's all about surprising the eye. It's about the changes, it's about the colors, and I just have to experiment with, you've got the rust tones with the green. It's not red, but it's almost red, and it just makes it come alive.
Yeah. Just before you go on, I would say Philippa has actually just commented to say she is watching, so which I wondered if she would. I think that's lovely that she can hear you talking about the painting that she's obviously looking at now, because I believe she's actually received it already. So yeah, I get entirely what you're saying, because I think one of the charms of this painting is the fact that you've got lots of variety, and that variety leads you in. It's like stepping stones going into the painting, and it reminds me of that sort of aspect of your painting reminds me of that experience when you're a child of actually exploring rock pools and going from one to the next and finding different things and different textures. And I think that makes it quite an exciting painting, which I think is lovely. And you've got a wonderful sense of light in the background, where just below the pine trees, where you've got your red edge to the cliff. I think that sort of brings the whole thing. The channels in the estuary lead your eye up to that point, which is wonderful.
It's funny, isn't it? When I went to art school, and I've drawn and I've painted all my life, and it's like I've got a bag of tools, and it's very difficult to try and explain, especially when you're teaching, because I've been a teacher as well, that you've just always done something. It's not like you take it for granted, because I don't. Every day I doubt myself. But you still have this bag of tools that you keep with you, and you still like to explore. I'll never get bored of it. I will never stop doubting myself. I have so much to learn and so much to do. But I do think that everybody should just challenge themselves every now and again to try something different.
But don't you think that's one of the most interesting and exciting things about watercolor? I find that anything with a water-based medium, it's almost as if the water gives it life. And I'm not suggesting that there's anything wrong with painting in oils or anything else, but for me, the thing that captured me about watercolor, the reason I sort of spent, certainly, and I've been painting for 10 years now, and I'm only just really starting to properly explore other mediums that are not water-based, because for so long now, I've absolutely loved all those surprises you get with watercolor, and the fact that for me it feels as if I'm having a dialogue with what's happening on the paper, that there is I'm able to respond to what is happening on the paper. And the more you work with watercolor, the more you learn how to let go and let the watercolor lead you, in a sense. So it almost becomes a collaboration with what's happening on the paper. That's the way it feels to me. I'd be really interested to hear whether that is how it works for you, and why you love water-based media and watercolors.
I went, many years ago, I discovered these watercolor sticks.
Yeah.
I had done all the beautiful watercolors, and I taught watercolors, but I wanted to push myself in another direction. And I looked at lots of artists. I started to teach myself like the way I teach other people. Basically, you tell people to observe, and you tell people to experiment, and you have to sort of follow your own sort of the way you teach sometimes. So I thought, right, I've got to stop just doing washes. I want to take it to another level. So first thing I thought, I'll buy these. Am I allowed to advertise? I bought Caran d'Ache, the Neo Color crayons.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I just fell in love, because I took them away with me on holiday. All I needed was a pen, maybe, and those, and some water, and I was off. I didn't have to carry very much with me, and I could express myself a little bit more. And it was a bit like, how can I explain it? Do you remember when you were younger, you used to do this magic colouring in, and it would just completely change? So for me, I was having happy accidents. And I think for me, that gives me a thrill, and I love that. I like to still be surprised by what the mediums can do. I actually bought myself some oil painting sticks 2 years ago. I still haven't opened them. I am still happy with my water-based anything.
Lesley, can you just check your sound, because the sound seems to have gone on your side. I don't know if anybody else can anybody else hear Lesley? Can you just give us a comment if you can? It might be my end.
Don't know.
There you go. You're back.
Oh, I'm back. Maybe.
Yeah, it might have been my end. It might have been me. So, yep. Okay. That's fine. Sorry about that. I wasn't sure whether it was me or, oh no, sound was fine. I think it was me. I think what happened is it started, I'm going to put my headphones in because I think what happened is my technology decided to feed everything through the headphones. So let me put them in and then they can actually work properly. Okay. I can hear you. Great. Okay.
Not a problem.
So, well, I wanted to ask you about your sketchbooks because you said basically, that you picked this up out of your sketchbooks, and that artists can use their sketchbooks quite, in a different way during lockdown. Do you often go back to your sketchbooks and use those as a reference for the beginning of a painting?
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Without doubt. And do you know, if you're watching and you want to change direction and you do want to loosen it up, put away photographs. Get outside as much as you possibly can. Refer to your sketches. It loosens you up. You have more in your head than you remember. There's a strong sense of shape and direction already in your drawing. The composition is already there. Use it, and it's just a great way to make it a challenge and make it happier, make it a happier experience. Because if you try and copy a photo, you just can't get the same colors, you can't get the same essence. I know we all have to maybe do it in the winter, but refer to your sketchbook. Take a note of the colors, maybe make notes of the form, the color, the texture, all the component parts. Write these notes down and take them back to your studio, look at your drawings and work from them. It works every time. I'm always happy with those.
That's really interesting. Well, I hope everybody is working from their sketchbooks now, because actually with winter coming along, while we can get out, and of course, although we're in lockdown, we can still go for our daily exercise, and you could have a sketchbook tucked under your arm while you're doing your daily exercise. But basically, we hopefully have got, I mean, I know that I've got loads of sketchbooks in the studio, and that's a really good suggestion. And I think I'll be doing some of that during lockdown, just to kind of give myself a bit of inspiration and a good kickstart. And I love your idea of experimenting and pushing the boundaries and doing completely different things. And I think as artists, we are very, very lucky to be able to do that.
Yes. Can I just say that I work in acrylic a lot, and again, I've pushed the boundaries before. Why not? You think, I've got alizarin crimson still sitting there. What a disgusting color that is. But I wanted to challenge myself. Just paint the whole thing alizarin crimson and then just see how it works for you. Do something you wouldn't normally do. That's my advice.
That sounds like a really good idea. We've got a question here. Laurie's asked, do you plan your compositions when you sketch, or do you adapt the composition once you get it back into the studio?
I can and will adapt. I think, especially when you think about size, you have to sometimes just exaggerate a little bit. I am a Scottish trained artist, and Scottish art schools are very strict on drawing. It's always drawing, and it's sort of ingrained into you. So I am quite precise, and I'm trying to not be. But so when I do take it back to the studio, I limit it a little bit, and maybe exaggerate it a little bit. But
it's broadly there. It's interesting because when I first looked at your painting, what struck me, in fact, in all of your paintings, because you've got another one in the exhibition as well, and that one has the same characteristics, is that your line is really strong. Your use of line is really interesting, quite dynamic, and very, very apparent within your paintings. Is that you obviously do like line, and you've got a lot of variety in your line, which is really interesting. And I think that probably comes from your drawing training.
I think it's funny how something, you might not have noticed something, and then suddenly I was given an opportunity to have a solo exhibition last year, and I came up with this idea of lines, and it was called Norfolk Lines, and it's all about taking your eye into something, leading your eye. It's like telling a story, and anybody who knows me and who's listening will always know that given an opportunity, I do talk quite a lot, although I am quite solitary. And being an artist, you're solitary, but given an opportunity, I like to tell a story. My father was the same. He was a storyteller. So that's what I'm doing. I'm telling you a story in everything that I do. I was there that day. This is how I felt, and I'm taking you into that picture, into that story.
Lesley, that's really interesting. Thank you so much. This has been fascinating. It's been really nice to hear about your thoughts about the painting, your approach, and to be able to sort of give everybody a view of the background and your process and how you think about it. So I'm going to say we will actually put a link to the exhibition at the top of this or in a comment. So everybody can go and have a look at your other painting, which is in the exhibition and is still available if anybody fancies buying it. Thank you very much for being with us, and have a good evening, everybody. Bye.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.